Millions of Canadians don't have a family doctor, and Canada's emergency rooms are overflowing. But non-citizens who've had their asylum claims rejected are eligible for all sorts of federal health benefits that Canadians aren't, like mental health support and vision care. It's unfair to offer people with no legal reason to be in Canada better federal health benefits than Canadians have access to.
A sustainable, responsible immigration system is exactly what we're pursuing to address those service challenges.
People with no legal right to be in Canada should not have access to federal health benefits. Right. Yes. The Liberals have given a Dutch Somali national who gave multiple false names and birth dates to immigration officers have also lied about being in a polygamous marriage, yet another chance to stay in Canada.
This guy's garage. Like and subscribe.
Oral questions. Questions orales. L'honorable député de Mégantic for Barrie South Minister.
Prime Minister's trust may be blind, but the math is not. This week, we found out from Brookfield's chief operating officer that the Prime Minister stands to make millions in carried interest payments from his company's success related to climate and infrastructure schemes that he set up. Many, if not all, of the public financial instruments, funds, and policies the Prime Minister started pushing when he was pulling Trudeau's strings as his economic advisor in 2020 aligned with Brookfield's strategy and success. How is it ethical when the Prime Minister is using the power of his office to benefit him and his company?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday I met with the operating engineers all across the country who came to talk to me about the investments we're making in building Canada strong. And Madam Speaker, they're so excited about the work for their members. And as the proud mother of an operating engineer, I couldn't be more thrilled as well. These are great jobs for young people, for tradespeople all across the country. This is how you build a country strong, Madam Speaker. You invest in the workers of today and tomorrow.
The Honourable Member for Barrie South Minister.
Brookfield COO also confirmed that the umbilical cord between the Prime Minister and his company will stay attached until 2034 because the fund the Prime Minister set up will mature then. That means if it does well, he does really well. But here's the problem. He knows full well what's in his blind trust and is using the power of his office to promote policies that benefit his company and him. AI, modular housing, carbon capture, nuclear, and the transition model of public risk for private return he set up while advising Trudeau will make him millions. How is this ethical, if not illegal?
The Honourable Minister.
Canada's GDP growth last quarter was 2.6%, blowing out the economist's projections, Mr. Speaker. That's what growing Canada strong looks like. It's an investment in the potential of the country, but it's an investment in right now. We have the highest rate of women ever in the workforce, Mr. Speaker. You know why? Because we have an affordable child care agreement. And yesterday, Saskatchewan signed an extension, 5 years, $1.5 billion, to make sure we can not only get women in the workforce, but keep them there. And one more thing, Madam Speaker, $10 a day has been achieved in Saskatchewan. That's real action. That's partnership with provinces.
The Honourable Member for St. Albert, Sturgeon River.
Madam Speaker, the Prime Minister has vast conflicts of interest with Brookfield. That's why the Ethics Commissioner specifically told him not to meet with Brookfield. Despite this, the Prime Minister secretly met with the Chief Operating Officer of Brookfield in October. So a simple question, why did the Prime Minister violate the clear direction of the Ethics Commissioner?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Madam Speaker, the member's resort to personal attacks and dealing in conspiracy theories speaks to a larger issue. A member from the province of Alberta today unable to celebrate the agreement that we have achieved that his own premier is celebrating in public about the opportunity to protect the environment and create good jobs. If he won't stand up for Alberta, I, as somebody from the East Coast who spent 5 years there, absolutely will. The GDP numbers that we've seen come in the past quarter, seeing it go up 2.6%, means good jobs for people and food on the tables for families. We're here to create jobs. It's a shame the Conservatives are opposed.
The Honourable Member for St. Albert, Sturgeon River.
Conspiracy theory, the Ethics Commissioner told the Prime Minister not to meet with Brookfield, and then he did so. Now, this is a Prime Minister that was the chair of Brookfield and who stands to make tens of millions of dollars from in future bonus pay and from stock options. And not only did the Prime Minister clearly violate the direction of the Ethics Commissioner, he attempted to cover it up by not disclosing the meeting. Is this the Prime Minister's idea of ethics?
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Madam Speaker, I think my colleague has left his tinfoil hat in the men's room before he attended question period here today. He's here talking about things that do not matter to the people at home as much as things like doctors, jobs, lower taxes. Frankly, Madam Speaker, it is a shame that members of this House of Commons are simply not focused on the priorities of Canadians. The GDP has increased 2.6% in the past quarter. The last jobs report showed 67,000 new jobs. Every month since the Prime Minister has held that office, wages have increased faster than inflation. Madam Speaker, we're going to stand up to build an economy that can stand on its own 2 feet, advance major projects, create jobs for people at home. I wish they'd support it.
Millions of Canadians don't have a family doctor, and Canada's emergency rooms are overflowing. But non-citizens who've had their asylum claims rejected are eligible for all sorts of federal health benefits that Canadians aren't, like mental health support and vision care. It's unfair to offer people with no legal reason to be in Canada better federal health benefits than Canadians have access to. Why are the Liberals giving bogus asylum claimants who have no legal reason to be in Canada access to better health services than Canadians rather than simply deporting them?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary of the Minister of Immigration.
Madam Speaker, the member knows very well that those who are not eligible to be here will face the consequences of Canadian law, Mr. Speaker. We trust authorities to carry that out. As for services in this country, we understand that there's been a strain on services and that the immigration system has a part to play in that. What's also at stake, Madam Speaker, is that we put policy on the table to address those issues. A sustainable, responsible immigration system is exactly what we're pursuing to address those service challenges.
People with no legal right to be in Canada should not have access to federal health benefits. Right. Yes. The Liberals have given a Dutch Somali national who gave multiple false names and birth dates to immigration officers, have also lied about being in a polygamous marriage, yet another chance to stay in Canada. Lying to immigration officers should immediately invalidate somebody's ability to stay in Canada. The decision to let someone enter or stay in Canada should be made on truthful information. This is a no-brainer. Why are the Liberals rewarding non-citizen liars with the right to stay in Canada?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, I say this with all due respect. This is the immigration critic for the Conservative Party for almost 10 years. She knows very well that when new information comes in, it can lead to the cancellation of existing visas that allow individuals to be here in the first place. And so when we understand these matters, we leave it in the hands of authorities to address those matters. On this side of the House, we are continuing to be seized with the importance of ensuring a sustainable, responsible immigration system that's focused on the economy from the beginning to end, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Calgary-Nose Hill.
Well, in that case, the government found out that this person was a polygamist, lied about it, and still let them stay here. So, Mr. Speaker, we also this week heard the Liberals argue against my bill, which would remove the ability of activists, judges, and lawyers to give leniency to non-citizens convicted of serious crimes like sexual assault. And for a non-citizen, being able to stay in Canada should be considered a privilege, not a right. Non-citizens convicted of sexual assault or those who were caught lying about polygamy shouldn't be rewarded with this ability to stay in Canada. They should be removed. It's a no-brainer.
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
The member is or should be aware of the landmark Supreme Court decision of 2013 that says that the courts and judges in particular can take note of the immigration status of an individual, but cannot use that to condition sentencing in a way that would avoid immigration consequences, Madam Speaker. This is not a serious question, Madam Speaker. The point is that if we're going to do immigration policy seriously in this country, we have to make sure that we allow
The Prime Minister's priorities are clear. He has gone from elbows up to putting his hands in the air and saying, who cares when it comes to negotiating for Canada. However, he's still working hard for the interests of Brookfield. Right. We learned in the recent budget that the Liberals are giving $500 million to the European Space Agency.
Unreal.
Guess who owns 50% of the UK campus where those funds are going? You guessed it right, Brookfield. Why does this Prime Minister continue to put his financial interests above the interests of Canadians?
Brookfield strong.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, let me remind the member that we are doing very, very well. We woke up to tremendous news this morning, and he can rest assured that our government is entirely focused on building on our economy and on supporting industries and workers that require our help. We were elected to build Canada, and that's exactly what we're doing. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Member for Northumberland Clark.
We continue to hear these old, tired lines from the so-called new government. They tell us again and again, Canadians have never had it so good. Here's the reality. Food bank usage is at record rates, over 2 million per month. Meanwhile, Brookfield stock has gone up by over 20% since the Prime Minister got elected. Maybe that's just a coincidence. Why do Canadians have to continue to suffer while Liberal elites get wealthier and wealthier?
Brookfield strong.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, let me remind the member who comes from the same province that I do that we're actually helping invest in Darlington New Nuclear Project in Bowmanville. It's a project that is going to build 4 new small nuclear reactors, the first of its kind in the G7. It's going to provide clean, reliable electricity to power 1.2 million homes. It's going to reduce our carbon emissions, and it's going to create 18,000 good-paying, quality jobs for the people of Ontario. Madam Speaker, why don't the members opposite get on board and support a plan that is actually growing our economy 2.6% this year?
Honourable Member for York Durham.
To get elected, the Prime Minister promised to negotiate a win. But now that the election is over, he says, who cares? Canadians were promised a Churchill, but what we got was Chamberlain. He appeased the U.S. President by dropping the digital services tax. He appeased the U.S. President by withdrawing our softwood lumber challenge. But appeasement didn't get us any trade peace. We thought we got nothing, but in fact, he just got nothing for Canadians. Brookfield got an $80 billion nuclear deal. Is that coincidence or cause and effect? Why does it appear that this Prime Minister continues to put his private interests ahead of those of Canadians?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, it is really challenging to take the Conservatives at their word when they're trying to purport to care about Canadians. I mean, they vote against everything, even with the word care in it.
That's right.
Dental care, child care, pharmacare, even health care infrastructure to build hospitals in my community in Durham region where that member is from. They won't even support that. You want to show that you care, step up to support major projects in this country that will create, like the new nuclear project at Darlington, creating 21,700 jobs in our region, and that member voted against it.
Shame on it.
Honourable Member for York Durham. Order!
Canadians and Conservatives care about the integrity of the highest office in the land, the Prime Minister. The conflict of interest rules are clear for members of the House. They are to arrange their private affairs in a manner to avoid real or apparent conflicts of interest. An $80 billion nuclear deal for Brookfield, $500 million to the European Space Agency to benefit Brookfield, undisclosed meetings with Brookfield executives. These raise serious issues of conflict of interest. Why does it appear that the Prime Minister continues to put his private interests ahead of those of Canadians?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
This member would rather question the loyalty of our Prime Minister, who is securing deals all around the world to drive investment into Canada, to protect jobs, who's stepping up with packages of support for tariff-impacted industries. This member won't even stand up to support a hospital in Durham region with the healthcare infrastructure funding that we put in the federal budget. He won't stand up to support a major project that will provide 1.2 million homes in our region with clean energy and 21,700 jobs. How can he say he cares about anybody but himself?
For Richmond Hill South.
Every time this Prime Minister talks trade, it seems to be closing deals for his old firm Brookfield, while Canadian workers and taxpayers are left out in the sidelines. He went to Washington and Brookfield walked away with an $80 billion nuclear deal. He went to London and Brookfield got over $500 million for the European Space Agency. He hosted Swedish royalty and Brookfield announced an AI deal with Sweden. Now he's forcing Alberta to pour billions of taxpayer dollars into carbon capture just to get a pipeline, exactly where Brookfield holds major stakes. So when this Prime Minister said he will build at a scale and speed not seen in generations, did he really mean just for Brookfield and not for Canadians?
The Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, it appears that my honourable colleague has not really been cognizant of what the Prime Minister's been doing. $70 billion, Madam Speaker, and a financial commitment of investment from the UAE. We can also list the Philippines, Indonesia, Germany, Thailand, the Philippines, India. These are the trade deals that we're embarking upon, Madam Speaker. On the other side of the House, what are they focused on? Issues that Canadians are not going to benefit from. We are here for Canadians, building Canada strong.
In 2006, our Conservative government negotiated an end to the longest softwood lumber war. We negotiated a 10-year agreement with a 1-year grace period, which this government squandered. These Liberals have failed to do this in 10 years. 10 years! Thousands of jobs. Over 30 mills closed in the province of British Columbia. The Prime Minister ran an entire election on a false premise that he was a man with a plan, that he could get the job done. Now he says, who cares? As our lumber industry is crippled and communities are decimated.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, we are in a trade war. We are in a very difficult situation, and in that situation, this government is standing with those affected workers. We are moving heaven and earth to help them. We just announced another $500 million of supports 2 days ago. The member is fully aware of this, and we are open to more ideas for more supports. Now, we had a take-note debate the other night. I asked the Conservative members for their ideas. Do you want to know how many ideas I got from them? Zero. How about we get some ideas on the table? We are happy to support. We are happy to work with you to support. Let's get some ideas on the table.
The Honourable Member for ParlVu, Prince George.
You want a flipping idea of what to do? Get a flipping deal done. 10 years. 10 years. 10 years. Madam Speaker, another week, another mill closure in my riding. That's 100 direct and indirect jobs lost. That's hundreds of thousands of taxes for our municipalities. That's $1 million of taxes from our community of 100 Mile. Do you want to know who matters, Madam Speaker? It's the families that lost their jobs. That's who matters. Get their job done. Get agreement. Will the Prime Minister come to our region, tell them, look them in the eyes and tell them that they don't matter?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, helpful ideas like just get a deal done are not going to get the deal done. We need ideas. We need support for workers, the workers you and I both care about. How about we work together to help this industry instead of these histrionics in the House? How about that?
The Honourable Member for Oshawa.
Clapping for
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister was asked whether he had spoken to Trump about trade, and guess what he did? He brushed off the question saying, who cares? He may not think it's a serious matter, but Conservatives do, and so do auto workers in Oshawa and across Ontario and Quebec who are seeing their jobs disappear. Thousands of auto jobs are leaving Canada, and workers justifiably feel their jobs don't matter because this Prime Minister said so. So if the Prime Minister won't fight for Canadian auto workers, then who is he fighting for? Brookfield?
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, I would like to ask this member what she cares about. Does she care about health care, access to critical care and health care in our region? Because she voted against Budget 2025, including the Healthcare Infrastructure Fund, which will fund hospitals and healthcare facilities all across Canada, including in Durham region. Does she care about 21,700 jobs at the new nuclear project in Darlington? Because she voted against that as well, Madam Speaker. It's clear that she doesn't care about our region.
The Honourable
Madam Speaker, yesterday the Prime Minister promised Canadians a pipeline. Maybe, someday. He's not sure. Meanwhile, the Environment Minister can't even say the word pipeline, and another minister just jumped ship. This isn't a grand bargain, it's a grand ransom. The only thing certain is that Canadians' industrial carbon taxes are going up. Canadians have sacrificed a lot, and all we've received so far are vague Liberal promises. Will the Prime Minister tell us what year we will see shovels in the ground on a new oil pipeline to the West Coast?
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House.
Madam Speaker, we had yesterday a very comprehensive display of meeting the ambitions and meeting the moment in Western Canada, in Alberta, making sure that we have a better path to fighting climate change, a higher price on industrial carbon. Premier Smith has signed on to a radical set of new measures to make sure we have clean electricity, to make sure we build data centers, to make sure we build nuclear energy. And you know who's going to do all that? Canada's building trades people, the men and women of Canada's building trades. We're going to be building Alberta strong, building Canada strong.
The Honourable Member for Parkland.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Notice he didn't say pipeline. As part of the Great Ransom, taxpayers will be required to invest billions to pump air into the ground. Meanwhile, by pure coincidence, I'm sure, the Prime Minister's company, Brookfield, is the largest investor in carbon capture company Entropy. The Prime Minister is using taxpayers' funds to underwrite his company's investments. Brookfield's $300 million investment in Entropy is already backed by $200 million in taxpayers' funds. That's not Canada strong, that's Brookfield strong. How much does this Prime Minister stand to gain by forcing Canadians to fund his carbon capture projects?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, tinfoil is actually made of aluminum, so I'd like to thank the member for her first act supporting that sector in this House. The facts of the matter are this. Yesterday we announced an MOU with Alberta that increases economic prosperity for this country, that increases environmental sustainability and the durability of environmental action in this country, and it makes us less reliant on the United States. That's a good day for Alberta. That's a good day for Canada. I welcome the member's office to get on board.
The member for Abbotsford, South Langley.
Madam Speaker, this week we saw reports that the BC Liberal caucus is seething, anxious and angry of the Prime Minister's pipe dream to the Pacific Coast. To keep them quiet, he even gave the BC Premier a veto on the project and will increase the industrial carbon tax that will only make everything worse. When the Prime Minister said he would build at a scale and speed not seen in generations, did he mean taxes, not projects?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, yesterday was a great day for Canada because it got us onto a better course of action and more common ground and confederation between Alberta and Canada, which will also lead to a better course of action across the entire country. Part of the agreement was that we would work with British Columbia, we would work in a tripartite table, and of course we will all respect the Indigenous rights of peoples. This is great for Canada, this expands our markets, this expands our economy, and this makes environmental action more durable.
The Honourable Member for Abbotsford, South Langley.
Madam Speaker, families need stronger paychecks and affordable energy. But instead building pipelines to the Pacific, the Prime Minister gives us more paper, more delays, and more vetoes. The MOU guarantees nothing except 7 months of waiting and 2 years of federal studies. When will the Prime Minister finally get out of the way, give Canadians a firm construction date for the West Coast pipeline, or will this be another Liberal broken promise?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you very much, Speaker. This Prime Minister is focused on making sure that we're creating good-paying jobs for all Canadians. We are investing and building things like they've never been done before. We're making sure that we diversify our trade, so we're investing in our ports right in British Columbia so that we can export more to other markets like the Indo-Pacific. That is the focus of this government. That is the focus of this Prime Minister. We will not rest until we create good-paying jobs for all Canadians.
The Honourable Member for St. Lucan in South Okanagan, West Kootenay.
Ms. Speaker, Liberal MPs in BC are telling the media they are, quote, seething, anxious and angry about a pipeline that would end Canada's economic dependence on the United States. The Liberal caucus is falling apart over this. The Prime Minister must not give his Keep It in the Ground caucus or Premier Evie a veto. Only he has the constitutional and legislative power to approve a pipeline today. Will he ignore the naysayers and approve it today, or will he offer more delay?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, we're committed on this side of the House to cooperative federalism with the province of Alberta. But we remain committed and we remain respectful of Aboriginal and treaty rights, as well as the free, prior, informed consent of communities entrenched in UNDRIP. And so we're going to continue to respect these rights. It's not only the right thing to do, but it's also the law.
The Honourable Member for St. Lucan in South Okanagan, West Kootenay.
Madam Speaker, let's be clear what was signed yesterday. A memorandum that will hike the industrial carbon tax, and in exchange, the Liberals will allow a pipeline proposal to be further studied
for the next 2 years. There are no timelines for approval, and many Liberals are demanding that the timelines be never. This Liberal caucus is divided. Will the Prime Minister ignore them, forget the tax hikes, and just approve a pipeline today? Or is this pipeline a pipe dream?
Yeah. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary, the Minister of Immigration.
Madam Speaker, the slogans continue on the other side. What is lacking is seriousness. They condemn a decision signed by the Premier of Alberta. Yesterday was a great day for Alberta and for Canada. This government was elected on a policy vision to ensure more jobs in this country, economic stewardship and environmental stewardship at the same time. We will maintain that vision from start to finish. I invite the member to join us.
The Honourable Member for Vernon Lake Country, Monashee.
Madam Speaker, we hear that the BC Liberal caucus is, quote, seething, anxious and angry about a possible pipeline, so the Prime Minister is appeasing them by hiding behind the provincial NDP like Brookfield hides behind Caribbean tax laws. After 9 years of Liberal energy mismanagement, Canadians want a pipeline. Will the Prime Minister do his job, stop the political games, and immediately get shovels in the ground on this oil pipeline?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, the far-reaching Memorandum of Understanding with Alberta includes a number of timelines. I invite the members to read it. By July 1st of next year is when a pipeline proposal will come from the province of Alberta. There are timelines, and we are seeing that not just talk about pipelines, but talks about AI data centers, nuclear energy, many ways we can grow the Canadian economy in a clean way, in a big way, in a way that doesn't rely as much on the United States of America. This is a good day for Alberta. This is a good day for Canada. I invite the members opposite to get on board.
The Honourable Member for Cloverdale, Langley City.
Madam Speaker, the Liberal government isn't just divided, it's cracking. BC Liberal MPs are publicly venting, unnamed ministers are warning of serious problems, and now their Quebec lieutenant has walked out of cabinet entirely. But while the Prime Minister struggles to hold his team together, Canadians are left paying the price. We sell almost all our oil to one customer, the U.S., because we have no pipeline to the Pacific. When will the Prime Minister stop putting political damage control ahead of the national interest and give us a date when the pipeline will be built?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Madam Speaker, the Liberal caucus is only cracking open wide enough to welcome Conservatives to come join us. My honourable colleague would like a date for a pipeline to the West Coast. How about May of last year when the Trans Mountain expansion got new Canadian products to markets, which is driving up the price of Canadian resources? The Conservatives have failed to get anything built when they were last in government because they ignored the role of provinces, because they ignored the rights of Indigenous peoples in this country. By working together with different levels of government and Indigenous rights holders, we are able to advance major projects. This is not some idea. This is our right.
The Honourable Member for Cloverdale, Langley City.
Speaker, a pipeline to the West Coast isn't just another project. It's a nation-building decision that falls squarely under the federal government's authority. Canadians expect the Prime Minister to act, but instead, he's given the NDP Premier of BC a veto in an effort to manage the uproar in his caucus, a caucus that's now losing senior ministers over the issue. Madam Speaker, when will the Prime Minister stop passing the buck and use the federal authority that rests with him alone to ensure this pipeline gets built?
The Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, she's talking about the constitutional authority of the Prime Minister. If she actually read the entirety of the section that she's referring to, she would notice that it also gives the constitutional authority to provincial governments to build or not build the infrastructure, the roads, the electricity, the water services that would make possible to have a pipeline actually operate in the first place. In addition, Madam Speaker, Section 35 of that very same Constitution demands that governments respect the inherent and treaty rights of Indigenous peoples in this country, including by consulting them on advancing major projects. By working together, we can get big things done. That's a path.